start. And I want to officially welcome us to Grad Train Today we'll be going over basically the basics of Grad Train, going over the journey that takes us through Grad Train. I mean, from understanding ourselves to understanding what we are supposed to do and how it affects us, right? So I'll be sharing my screen right now. So if we remember, I've shared this with us before. I've shared this with us before, if we can remember. And it was a rundown from the basics, which is even your mindset, to how you are to prepare for grad training, right? And we talked about mindset, which is the foundation. But today I would want to start from something different. I want to start by showing us the terminologies that are conversant when it comes to graduate school. Okay, no, I will do that. I will send it again. So these are some of the things, terminologies that you will come across. Let me increase it for those that are using their phones. I'll share it again after the class, you don't worry. I drop most of the materials after the class anyway. So the first things we are going to go over are the terminologies, right? Terminologies that you will come across when you are applying or making your applications to graduate school. So one of the things is that every graduate school has prerequisites, right? So there are certain qualifications that will qualify you for the program or the course that you are going for. For example, um, if you are going to study, um, let's say let's say data analysis. I mean, you should have a background in, let's say, mathematics or a related calculative program or computer science or something like that. There is a background for every course you are supposed to go for. And those are the prerequisites. There are specific courses that are required. For example, I am for neuropsychology, and one of the courses that I used to gain access into neuropsychology was neuroanatomy in my human anatomy BSc program. So the same way, if you probably you are going into, and it's very beautiful to have these determining courses in your mind, because these are the things that are going to really show you what you need to do. These are the things that are going to be proving forward that, okay, I have this skill and I can achieve this. I mean, I have this background so that they will consider you. And these are the things that serves as the qualifications. And there are skills also. Skills are things like data analysis, research skills. So these are things that you are also required to learn before application. Mostly, when schools look at you, they look at your qualifications, they look at your skills, so that they don't just pick up somebody that they start working on afresh, right? They want to work with you, but they need you to have a basics on something. So if you don't have, probably you should have a lab skill, which is probably using a microscope. You should have a data analysis skill, at least know how to use SPSS. If you don't know how to use the analytical tool yet, pick one and deliberately start learning. You have, like I said, you have ChatGPT to teach you some things at the moment. You don't need to use it to do everything, but can use it to learn the process, right? There are specific courses like we talked about before, and there are qualifications. For example, you cannot go and do clinical neuropsychology abroad without having a BSc in psychology, or you cannot go and do pure physics when you don't have at least a BSc in physics or maths. So there are requirements that qualifies you for that. The same way I would use analogy for our undergrad. If you are in science, you go to science related programs in your university, right? The same way it leads you to um, the graduate school. But there are differences. I mean, there are exceptions. Exceptions in the sense that there are schools at the moment or there are programs at the moment that are looking for interdisciplinary collaborators. For example, neurosciences combines skills from mathematics, from computer sciences, from laboratory, so with that, if you have computer skills, there's a place for you in neurosciences. So neuroscience deals with the brain, but with your skill in computer, you can gain graduate programs. I mean, you can get admitted into neurosciences to do computational neurosciences. If you have skills in microbiology, you can come to do probably toxicology or something like that. So there are exceptions like that. And then there's GPA. GPA is your grade point average. So most of the international schools use a 4.0. Indian use 10.0. And other schools, Nigeria, some schools use 7 points, some schools use 5 point. I think some schools use 4 point as well, right? But for whatever school you are going to study, there's a requirement sometimes that you'll have to convert your GPA to the GPA of that country. And that is not very hard. Sometimes they ask you to do worse, but most of the times you don't need to do worse because there are several schools, especially when because of the borderlessness of the borderlessness of the world right now. You don't need to convert like that. There are schools that permit you. Any schools that are giving you headache, let's do worse. Yeah, you can decide to do it. It will help you, but then it's a long road. And you can also apply for waiver, right? And then there's GRE or GMAT. It's a standardized test often required for graduate admission. And so one is for business schools, which is the GMAT. Then the other one is for sciences and others, which is the GRE. So it's a graduate record examination or graduate management admission test. And for some schools, it's required, but if you would really listen to what we have been teaching, most of the times you don't require these things because there are schools that have waived them for you. You've done your master's, you don't need to go and start doing GRE, right? And then there's 2FL and IELTS and Duolingo English test. All these are standardized tests to prove English proficiency if you're an international student. But beautiful enough, there are several schools that also waive this for you as long as you can present a certification of English proficiency. So if you are getting out of school, there's something you need to obtain. Even when I finished my master's, I obtained that as well. I obtained the certification that whatever I was taught to me in English. And so any school that I want to apply for at the moment, I will tell them, hey, I've obtained this program from my primary school to my university has been in English. So don't come and stress me and say I should come and do English test. Yeah, you not tell them like that anyway. But then there are schools that are considerate and are waiving these things now, right? Amen. Then the statement of purpose is one of the essential things. The essay that you write, it explains your academic background, your research interest, your career goals, and why you are applying. Basically, it tells your story. It tells where are you from, what do you want, where where are you from, what are you interested in, where do you want to go, and why. So that's the basic thing that the SOP answers. And then there's a personal statement, which is also the same, almost similar to SOP, but it focuses on your personal journey more, focuses on your challenges, focus on what motivates you. For example, you can say probably somebody broke a leg, and since then you wanted to be treating people's leg, and that's why you want to become a doctor. I mean, that's hilarious, but then that's your story, right? It tells your story. Or for example, you had your BSc, schools that give opportunity for personal statement are even schools that you can apply when you probably have it a class. And then probably your first year you had an issue, monetary issue, and you came out with 1.0, and second year you skyrocketed to 3 points, but you were not able to make it up to get a 2-1 or whatever. This is where you tell your story, right? This is where you tell your story. And then there's a letter recommendation, which is also required from all schools. It is an attestation of your character, of your person, of who you are. And this is written, can be written by your professors, by your employers, or if you have a supervisor, if you're working in a research lab at the moment, who can vouch for your academic ability, your research potential, and your professional skills. So this does not need to be a professor must, but it is advisable that since you are going for academia, you should have a professor inside, at least one of them, professor or doctor, right? And then if you are working already, you can take one from your employer, probably two from the school, and then one from your employer, depending if they're looking for three, right? You can divide it however. And then the curriculum vitae is a summary of your academic background, your research. I mean, this is tailored to academic when you're applying to school, right? Your academic background, your research publication, your work experience. As you can see, there's research and there's publication. So there are research that you might not even be the one that published, but you supported in writing the research. It can appear in your CV. Even if not published yet, but you supported people before, write the name, tell them what you did on your CV. There's work experience as it relates to what you want to do. There's achievement, you got a gold medal in sports. These are things that can reflect on your CV and can give you an edge. CVs for grad are actually more detailed than standard. They are very standard and more detailed, right? So one difference also is resumes are short and CVs can be long. I mean, there's so many controversies about what this is and that is. We are not going to go into that, but then depends on what you want at what time, right? And then there's a transcript. Transcript is official academic record from all post-secondary institution you've attended. They will not go and collect your secondary school certificate. They will want after your secondary school. Your BSc, if you had BSc, your MSc, if you had MSc, and compile together all your scores, right? In outside Nigeria, they don't put F for you if you rewrote, but in Nigeria, they put F for you and it affects your CGPA. So that's something that we are actually lacking on, right? If you get F in the US, for example, and you rewrote that exam, they don't record the F that you had before. So it doesn't count against you to pull you down. But in Nigeria, they record it. I don't know. That's it. And then when you're talking about scholarships and fundings, when you're talking about scholarships and fundings, there are different things that we look out for, right? There is assistantship. Okay, for example, where I'm currently schooling, somebody said, "Hey, I applied for scholarship and DAD did not give to me, but the professor reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have money, I have funds, sorry, I will support you." And that's assistantship, like you gain that. Okay, so there are different categories of scholarships. I think I'll discuss that when we go into the PowerPoint, but if I don't, somebody should remind me. And then fellowship and scholarships as well. Um, yeah, they are competitive, but then it's based on your academic excellence. They can give you, and then they can say, "Yeah, come and study for free. I will even pay you," right? So, and then rolling admission. So there are two kinds of admissions, right? There are rolling admissions and there are priority deadlines. So a school that is saying we have rolling admission continues to review applications as they come. So application becomes on first qualified grounds. I didn't say just on first grounds because if you come first and you're not qualified, they'll still kick you out. But if you come first and you're qualified, and somebody comes later and is even qualified more than you and they've picked you already, they will not drop you now. So that one is on rolling basis, right? And then the priority deadlines, which is often what most schools do, right? They put deadlines on people like for this application, deadlines are in November and then November 15, and some are in December 1st. Yeah. So those are deadlines. And then according to the compile, what those people do is they compile all the applications, and after they review them, they screen people out, and then the people that are more that left, they do interview, they screen more people out, then the final people carry the trophy. Yeah. So there's also cohorts. That is the group of students admitted in the same program and year as you are. So for example, I have my own cohort 2023, 2025, yeah. Yeah, I have my own cohort. Then there's something called research fit. This is something that everybody that is aspiring to do master's or PhD in graduate school has to know. It's also called your research interest. How do you align with the with the faculty's research area? If I have an interest that does not align with my faculty's research area, then I cannot work with him because it will be like two roads leading to nowhere, right? So that is also something to consider. We need to consider what is our research interest. And that is why it is very essential that we get to find out what do I want to do and find it out very early as well, right? Because it sets us apart and it gives us the opportunity to be able to demonstrate how we best fit. I mean, I'm working with somebody at the moment. Okay, person is not here. And I haven't sent a lot of papers. You see people responding to you, hey, we've seen your interest and it aligns with ours. We're expecting your paper, we're expecting your application and all that. And why do you get this response? I mean, in short time, the person has gotten about 5 responses to 6, 7 responses, right? And getting more. And the truth is, it's how I've taught us how to do cold emailing here before. And the person is using such strategy to get answers. I mean, 7 responses from different schools and different departments. That is something worth celebrating, right? But if you are able to tailor your paper in such a way that it inspires these people, it shows them that I'm a good research fit for what you are doing here, and I want to be part of your lab, they'll have no choice than to bring you on board. There are a lot of fundings around. If there are no fundings, they will get grants, and that grant will sponsor your program and all of you, and you discover that you are pushing and flying, right? So it's something to really know, right? So there are program directors and graduate coordinators, which are faculty members or administrators who manage your admissions and program structures. All these things are administrative stuff. And there's something called deferral. For example, you gained an admission in US and you didn't have funding, you can apply, hey, I've gained admission, but I want to defer my application because I don't have funding right now. I'm hoping that next year I'll have funding. And then you continue to apply for funding, and probably the next year you're lucky and you get it, right? Or you want to probably even take a loan or whatever. There are several ways where you can get to go study. Yeah. So that is it for um uh, uh, um um all the terminologies. When I get some, probably I'll still share them with us. But we are going to go and have a rundown on the proper introduction again of what we've practically gone through that. I'm happy my network is so good today. This is beautiful. I mean, first time. I don't say anything. So, okay. Um, I'll stop sharing the screen now, and then I will share the screen for the other lecture, the other training. We've gone through this before. It's quite elaborate. I pray we'll finish it today. But if we don't, then I don't know. Okay. 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 Let me share this. So can we see the screen? Can we see the screen?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Thank you. So this was the where we started from. First thing I talked about is mindset. When you want to study, the first class we had here, I gave an assignment, and that assignment was the assignment may still be given here, but the truth is, if you want to study PhD, it's not or MSc, and you want to apply abroad, and there are people who I think I've shared in the group of people who wrote about 200 applications before they got 1 year. So graduate school application is one of tenacity, of resilience, right? Rejections are sometimes plenty. Like imagine you are not the only one applying to schools. It's just, and it doesn't matter what skill you have. There are people that are getting that are way more amateur than you in the skills that you possess, in the things that you know, in the things that you can share, in the experiences or the skills that you've had, but it's how you tailor your applications. So first is the rigor of working to make sure that your SOP is acceptable, the CV stands out, and then everything is on point, right? But sometimes this thing does not take 1 day. Sometimes you adapt this, you adapt that, and if you're not even, I mean, if you're not even, I told some of us to go write some things down. I give out some assignments, and some persons went and copied AI, like from top to bottom. You can even hear the instruction, write out this and this and this for me. And I was like, wow. And when I saw it, it was so generic. It never talked about them. It was just, and I was like, okay, how do I do this? Like, that was why I didn't respond. Sorry for those that wrote amazing. For those that wrote amazing, I commented on them, and I told them personally that this was nice and all that, but I didn't really follow up generally because of these lapses, and I wasn't happy entirely. But if we want to learn, if we want to apply for grad school, it's not one that comes at a platter of gold. It's one that comes with resilience, with application. You need to look for research to write. I mean, there was a group research and nobody is doing anything about it. I mean, people that are even trying, they have been frustrated and then they're no longer talking. So if you want to get into this, it's one of that you need to push into it. I mean, the people that are getting responses now, are people that are working hard. There's somebody I'm working that I told you about using a phone and then getting responses. I mean, doesn't have a laptop. So you that has a laptop, what excuse do you have? Or you that have a phone, you say, I'm just having a phone. You don't have an excuse, my dear. You don't. So, there are going to be challenges. So adopt the growth mindset. Learn from the things, even the rejections, you learn from them. Define a long-term vision. What do you want to do with PhD? Why do you want to grad school? What do you want to do with your MSc? Is it a JAPA route? Even after that, what do you want to do? Or do you really want to, or do you love teaching? Do you love researching? Do you want to use that means to enter into clinicals? Myself, I am thinking of using my own to combine research and clinical practice. Is that what you want? So you have to define all these things and have them on pen and paper. Somebody told me today, he says, for those that have made it very well to the peak in research today are people that have defined goals, life goals. Some persons are just there that said, I want to, for throughout my life, I want to study Alzheimer's disease. And that's what they've been doing from the very beginning. And they are at the top of it right now. They are consultants in many firms on just Alzheimer's disease. So define what you want and be resilient. Balance academic, personal, and networking for growth. It is very essential. You're not going to take yourself to where you're going to. Somebody will help you take you there, all right? So you have to balance these things. I will not flog these things too much because I've gone over this before, but you need a strong academic readiness. If you are still in school, it's a good thing. Take your GPA very seriously. I never understood it when somebody came to my lab one time and said, hey, do whatever you can, do not graduate with a third class. Yeah. Even if, yeah, there's still hope to graduate third class, but it is harder. It is harder to work your way out when your grades are low, right? If you have a 2-1 and you still do not know how to apply for grad school, it's going to be a waste. So there's balance in both. Even if you have a low grade and you put the work in it, you still get a grad school. So these are things that you need to balance and understand financial requirements. Yeah, you may need money to pay admission with fees. But then even aside that, the application waivers, you don't need that. But then you need to understand how this works, how to make applications, plan application timelines early. You don't wait for deadlines before you begin to plan. Build a support system, mentors, we are here, and then alumni, people that have gone there before that you can leverage on and work with. Maintain professional digital presence. Your LinkedIn, I stress that some persons should go and open LinkedIn accounts. Some persons were able to do that. Some persons did not. So if you don't have a strong LinkedIn presence, go and do your LinkedIn. LinkedIn is like your CV. Whatever you apply for, they will Google your name. Who is even this person, right? And if the person is nowhere to write home about, they will not pick you over some other person. So, and it starts now. Go and start working on your LinkedIn. And then how about your CV? You need to have a rich CV and you need to add a lot of things to your CV. Go for the work, go for the research, get your experience and put them on your CV. Also win awards and all that. So choosing the right school and casting a wide net. I talked about one of the recent classes we had, I talked about what is the reason behind your choosing what school? What is the reason behind your choosing what country? There's US, there's Canada, there's Europe, there's Asia, there's Australia. All these things has their pros and cons. Okay, recently Qatar banned Nigerians from going to um, um, well, I don't think it's something I should be saying here anyway. But then there are pros and cons. There are places where you go if your thought is okay, I want to get residency. There are places where that is easier. If your thoughts is I want to just go and study for because they have great instruments that will be able to help me. There are countries where that's easier. If you want to say I just want to go and gain certificate that is outside Nigeria or outside Ghana or outside, there are places where that is easier. So you choose according to that, right? And yeah, consider programs and faculty expertise. So whenever you are applying for these things, there are sometimes you have to modulate what you want to what the faculty want. If all what you want is probably, let's say, sports, and you are seeing professors that has kinetics, you will say because kinetics is not sports, I will not go. No, but if they are similar, right, you can say, okay, let me bend a little. I mean, you are going to have supervisors nonetheless, so you have to bend a little, but it should tally with what you want, right? But consider bending your focus a little to tally with what faculties are expertised on. This would be enable them to supervise you well too. Then evaluate funding opportunities. There are various funding opportunities. The scholarship you are going for, that's okay. If you are going for self-sponsorship, that's okay. If you are going for borrowing or that's a loan, that's okay. Also, you can check alumni outcomes and location suitability. This might not be very necessary too much, but then you can also check where does these people end up. That determines where you're going to end up, right? So it's worth considering. And then there are major pathways into grad school. These are what considered scholarship and all that. I told us I was going to talk about it. There's direct application via university portal. If I just decide to go and apply to university and they give you admission, you don't even need to reach out to professors. That works, but it's not, it works, yeah, it works, but it's not, sometimes it's not very feasible. And then there are scholarships. There are scholarship bodies like Fulbright, Chevening, DAD that you can apply to. These are large body scholarships, large scholarship bodies that apply that give scholarship to a large range of people. So they just need to gain admission, and then these bodies are willing to fund them to go and study. And then there's cold emailing professors for supervision and funding. I even say if you are going for any of these things, for example, I got a DAD, but I still did cold emailing. That was what got me to DAD, right? You can also you also need, okay, I also talked about somebody who applied, didn't get, but I mean got admission but didn't get the funding. And the professor reached out to her and said, okay, I want to work with you. I have funding. I will fund you. That can happen in your case as well. So do not trivialize the place of code emailing. And like I said before, some persons apply and they say, okay, we don't have the power to really choose, but we'll look out for your applications. These are the faculties that have the say when it comes to applying, when it comes to collecting people, right? So, for example, you've applied, and even if I'm the professor and I didn't answer you, but I see your name, I've seen your CV, and then somebody else comes and then applies without even contacting anybody, and I read the two CVs. Which one will be more consistent with me? Which one would I understand more? Which one will resonate more with me? It's what I've gone through before. So you put yourself in the face of the people and it helps make you to stand out, right? And then there's also self-funding. You can decide, I want to fund myself, family resources and all that. There are a lot of people doing it. And then it's something you can also do if you have the funds, right? And then there's research and teaching assistantship. So um some persons can decide, some schools can give you admission and give you work as well. So the work you'll be either assisting in a lab or assisting to mark student scripts. It's called research or teaching assistantship. And that can be the way whereby you gain your scholarship as well. Then there's government or employer scholarships. I think the government of Taraba is constantly, and Kaduna and Kano sometimes are constantly giving scholarships to their people. Then there are exchange programs or dual degree programs, whereby you are studying in Nigeria and you just decide, okay, I want to do my research in Germany. You contact a professor in Germany, the professor accepts you, you apply for fundings, you get the fundings, you come spend 6 months here and do your research, and you go back to your home country. That's also a viable place to be. So what makes you stand out? What makes you stand out? We've talked about SOP, we talked about CV, but what really makes you stand out? One is your research experience, your publication and conferences, right? So wherever you are, there are free conferences, there are free places where you can publish your papers. So you cannot say I don't have money and I can't do these things. Sometimes 20,000, 30,000, you sacrifice, you go for a conference, you publish your paper, you submit an abstract. These are things that sets you apart and gives you adds up as your research experience and enables you to be admittable into a graduate school, right? And then the publications, we talked about that. We published paper. I think I've had a class where we talked about the types of research, and that was all we talked about, starting a research group from. And yeah, you can publish. It doesn't matter which, it can be letter to editor, it can be commentary, it can be secondary data research, it can be whatever it is, right? You can get a paper out, get two papers out, and that helps to strengthen your research experience. And like I said, it doesn't just matter whether you publish or not. If you help somebody do research, if you contributed one thing or the other, help take care of the person's animal, you can also write those things in your CV and they will count and support you, right? And then volunteering and leadership roles. It is very essential to have these things. Wherever you are, take time to volunteer most likely in the field that you want to work in. If you want to work in public health, go to the field, take some blood. I mean, administer some like you know what I'm talking about, like medical related, not blood with cutlass in there. So volunteering and leadership roles, if you are the leader in one department or faculty, it's always good to state these things in your CV. They help you to stand out and show that you have leadership capacity. When one can lead people, one can lead himself. And this is what helps you to stand out, right? And then there's statement of purpose. We talked about that before. Your academic experience talks about your academic experience. That's about your achievements. Yeah, probably talks about where you've been, your research interests, where you want, your academic goals, where you want to be, and your achievements, right? So, and then there's excellent references from professors and professionals. This is why we also need to maintain, it is always advisable to maintain strong connection with our supervisors because they will act as our referees when we want to do these things. And it is very essential because when we don't have good referees, we go nowhere, right? So if you are still in school, begin to cultivate relationships with your professors, the supervisors. You're no longer in school. Once in a while, send the supervisor, hello, sir, I want to check upon you and all that. Ensure that you tell them that they are in your heart. So when that happens, when they know that you are in their heart, a bit there in your heart, it will be easier for them to help and support you, right? So there's also relevant work experience that is tailored towards or internship. You can take up online, it doesn't need to be physical. You can take up online internship and all that, and it will help to make you stand out. Experience also, try to gain experience in the area you want to work with. I was talking to somebody and the person says, if you are doing volunteering, that is Victor Okechukwu. If you are doing volunteering, you should know the for why, for what, for why are you doing this? What are you doing this for? What do you expect to gain? So when you go into volunteering with this three mindset, you will not miss it. For example, if I'm going to volunteering and I just okay, they say, hey, we are playing football, we are looking for someone to hold our clothes. The first question you ask is, why am I going there? Why am I volunteering? What will holding your clothes do for my career life? And that's not a place to go. So it's a place of intentionality. You volunteer with intention, with being while being intentional. You don't volunteer because everybody is going there, they will serve food and wear black and white and all that. No. Volunteer because it helps. If it's not leadership, it helps your career or it helps something around your life, right? And then language proficiency, like I said, it can be waived if you have done your school in Nigeria or in any English-speaking country that is well recognized. Then for people that are in arts programs, you don't need to write research here, but you can put article, just try to get your article out there. based for different disciplines. There are different things that you can do. Put your articles out there, put your design out there, form your portfolio. If you don't have a portfolio, your LinkedIn can serve as a portfolio, and GitHub, if you are in analysis or whatever, can serve as a portfolio. So, in closing, the action steps that we need, you must start early, track deadlines and opportunities. For example, November 15th, some schools are closing. December 1st, some schools are closing. Some are rolling applications like we discussed in technologies. Look for which one aligns with you, and then you plan yourself, right? And then seek mentorship and peer review of applications. We are here, wherever. I think I've been reviewing certain number of persons' applications. You can always send them to me or send them to who you think have gone there before, people who have gotten Chevney. If you're applying for Chevney, send it to them, let them review it. I even had someone from Chevney review my own paper, right? My own SOP. The person didn't find corrections, but I was confident that okay, if this person that has gotten Chevney can go through it and not got corrections, then I can also go through it. And that was one of the things that helped me, supported me. Then we know that we succeed together. We should network, we should collaborate. You can even decide, okay, anybody type on the group, is anybody applying for PhD? Is anybody applying for MSc? Let's apply together. Can apply for the same schools. It's not a competition, right? We are growing together. The truth is, however good you apply, if you don't put this synergy in, you will not refine your application in such a way that it will stand out. But when you're able to synergize, compare notes, it helps you to stand out. And before you know, you've gotten 1 or 2 yeses, right? So before I show us our assignment, I have I have somebody very important here. His name is Dr. Isaac. So I really appreciate your coming. I don't know if you want to say a word. I think I introduced him in this group before. He's currently doing his PhD in Canada, and he's a doctor. He has an MD and he has an MPhil. I mean, he's a high flyer, if you ask me. So Isaac, do you want to?
Uh, all right. Thank you. My name is Isiko Isaac. Sorry for coming in late. I just had a class. I was lecturing. So I'm a doctor and engineer at the same time. So you can choose what to call me. Currently, I'm doing my PhD in population and public health in the Faculty of Medicine here at University of British Columbia in Canada. I'm so glad to be here and hope we share knowledge and see how each of us can reach the heights.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sir Isaac. He's also very good at research. We've collaborated on several projects together. He's my go-to person when I have questions to ask. And funny, beautifully, he also supported me in my grad applications, suggested schools that I applied to. I mean, he's a very amazing person. You can also relate with him, and he's always open to help and support as well. So thank you so much, Sir Isaac, for joining us, for being part of this community. Um, Lastly, before we go, if I think it is worth noting from all these things that we've talked about, if you really want to consolidate it, if you're able to do this research, you are halfway through getting a scholarship. So if you can write a one-page statement answering why do I want to attend grad school? How does it align with my career visions? And identify one limiting belief that you have about grad school and reframe it into an empowering belief. This is always something that would make you stand out as an individual, right? In your SOP. You can use, I always advise you can write in your raw state of mind. When I internalize it, it's better than giving ChatGPT to answer these questions for you. For example, if I have a story to tell, I broke my leg, I gained, I was able to go to a therapist. He was able to help me. And since then, I wanted to become a therapist. I mean, that's better. Or when you give details, I broke my leg and it was so painful that I needed to do this, do that, do that. It's better that you take that to ChatGPT than just say, copy and paste. ChatGPT tell me, why do I want to attend grad school? I don't understand. The ChatGPT knows why I want to attend grad school. So you can say, this is what you want. And then ChatGPT tailors it grammar-wise to what you want, but using everything when it dampens your understanding on things or matters, and it makes you not an independent thinker, which disqualifies you from PhD or MSc altogether. So something I want us to really consider. Yeah. And then building a profile. If you've not built your LinkedIn yet, you do that. You can also create a table of your academic achievements, your skills, and your experience, highlighting that those areas that need strengthening to help you to go and do volunteering or learn a skill, right? And also it can help you during your when you are drafting your SOP and all that. And then update your LinkedIn profile or create one if you don't have it already. Add in a professional photo, headline, and summary. I've helped a few people make theirs better after the previous class. If you are serious and I see you are serious, that will help you, but I need to say they are serious first. So another is school and program research. I asked us to research about 10 schools, and each school we should look for the program name that we want to go. Where is that school situated? And sorry, where is that school situated? The country? What's the application deadline? What's the other funding opportunities? Then for faculty mapping, I asked us at the time to identify 3 professors, minimum 3 professors. Okay, if you want to go to 5, it's okay. Whose research matches your interest? For example, you are going for biomedical engineering. Look for 3 professors in that one school and then look at their research interest. Write out the name of the professor, the email address of the professor, the interest of the professor, just those 3 things. You can use your mouse for that. You can use your computer for that. You can just copy them into one file, one folder like that. And that becomes your go-to so that whenever you want to make applications, you just refer to that. Okay, this professor, I write 3 code emails. Like I told you about, somebody was working on code emails recently, and 2 professors wrote to here, from the same school, different programs. And he wrote back to the administration, okay, what if I'm applying for this program and this program? What if I get both of them? And they said, it's okay, you can choose. So 2 professors are waiting for her, for him in one institution. And she gets to choose who she goes for. It's better to have 2 than have none, right? So I believe it's something that we should really consider. Yeah, I think we've come almost to the end of this program. Maybe I should pick this season off. Okay. So I don't know if anyone has a question. If you have a question, you can ask. If I can't answer, Dr. Isaac could also answer. So we're here together. Any question? Does anyone has questions? Okay, it was an amazing time having you here today. As
Okay,
I'll try to make, okay, you have a question?
okay, please, I want to ask, please, would this document, that's both the Word document and the PowerPoint, would it be made available?
Okay, yes, I'll send both of them to the group.
All right, thank you.
Any other question? Any question? Sorry. Okay, in absence of no question, thank you for joining in today. I do wish you an amazing night rest, and you can do attempt to do the assignments and send them to me if we can work together. That's okay. So, good night, I think.
Good night.
Yeah.